Hello, I am going to be talking about my case dilemma called Navigating Reporting Structure Issues. I'm going to start by reading my case dilemma directly on this narration. So, a medium Christian university, Sanford University, has a traditional day school, an adult undergraduate, and the graduate schools. The adult undergraduate and the graduate school serve as two schools together under the university umbrella. The adult undergraduate school strives to serve adults who are wishing to begin or continue to work toward their bachelor's degree, while the graduate school serves students who desire to further their personal and or professional goals through education. Both schools have programs in health, business, leadership, and education. While the two serve very different types of students, the university found the two schools could share administration and resources well. Both schools aim to make education achievable and convenient by having evening and online programs. Within the two schools, there are admissions, registrar, student development, and academic areas fully embedded. Each of these university partners who serve these two schools have different reporting structures and hierarchies. The dean of the two schools, Dr. Zion, has all academic areas, i.e., program directors, student development, and other academic folks under him. The VP for enrollment, Dr. Marsh, manages and leads financial aid, which is centralized and not embedded within the schools, and admissions. The executive VP for strategy, Dr. Willows, has a registrar's office reporting up the chain to him, and Dr. Marsh reporting to him as well. Dr. Zion reports to the provost, who reports to the president, and Dr. Willows also reports to the president. In 2012, a new position was added to the adult undergraduate and the graduate school admissions office. The purpose of this role, the corporate relations liaison, was to form strategic partnerships with corporations to help generate leads for the admissions office. Mrs. Mansky was hired for this role. Mrs. Mansky reports to the director of admissions, Mr. DeHaven. Partnerships were to include a $2,500 tuition discount or scholarship to any employee of a company where a partnership was formed. When the position was formed, there were still some differences of philosophy on tuition discounting between Dr. Marsh and Dr. Zion. Dr. Zion had stated in an administrative meeting with the university president, Dr. Willows, to Mrs. Mansky and Mr. DeHaven that discounting would aid to diminishing the value of a Sanford University education. Dr. Marsh pushed back, saying, discounting is an opportunity to attract more students to Sanford University. We will make up the discount in volume, and we would be able to offer more opportunities to share the value of Sanford University. Both Dr. Marsh and Dr. Zion feel significant ownership over the health and size of the schools and do not see eye to eye on where enrollment should be set within the structure of the institution. Should admissions report through the dean or through the enrollment division? Dr. Zion, when hired, stated in his interview, "If I am responsible for the schools, I need to have authority over decisions made within the admissions department." Mr. DeHaven is stuck in the middle of these philosophies with a new position, new employee, and little direction given to him and little direction he can give to his new employee. He continually worked to navigate the politics of structural stress and strong opinions coming from leadership above him. In a recent meeting with Dr. Marsh, he stated, I am unsure myself of what the best policy and practice is for this new rule and the discount rate. However, something needs to be worked out soon, or we have set Mrs. Mansky up for failure." Dr. Marsh replied, "I don't care how we do it. The mandate from our president is to have partnerships with external entities, so this is what we will do." To talk through a little bit on Sanford University, just a quick brief reminder, the university has a traditional daytime program, an adult undergraduate, and a graduate. The programs in the adult undergraduate and the graduate school include health, business, leadership, and education. The adult undergraduate and the graduate school share administration and resources and share a vision or a mission of having achievable and convenient education. Embedded in both of these schools are admissions, registrar, and student development and academics. To go over the people real quick again, Dr. Zion, who is the dean, he has academic, student development, and administrative personnel reporting to him, and he reports to the provost, who reports to the president. Dr. Marsh, the VP for enrollment, has financial aid, which is centralized, admissions, and reports to the executive VP for strategy, who reports to the president. Dr. Willows, who is the executive VP for strategy, has the registrar's office reporting to him, the admissions reporting to him, and Dr. Marsh, who is the VP for enrollment, and he reports directly to the president. Mr. DeHaven, who is the director of admissions, has Mrs. Mansky reporting to him, and he reports to the VP for enrollment. Overall issues that I see with in buckets with this particular situation is that they're stuck between two discount philosophies. Whether or not giving a discount will bring people in, or if discount will cheapen the value of an education at Sanford. Dr. Zion, who said discounting would aid to the diminishing of the true value of education. And then Dr. Marsh saying discounting is an opportunity to attract more students to Sanford University. We will make up for the discounted volume, and we would be able to offer more opportunities to share the value of Sanford University. There's a new position, a new employee, and there's little direction given to Mr. DeHaven, so he can give little direction to his employee. And then this conversation that happened with Mr. DeHaven to Mr. Marsh, or Dr. Marsh, about the fact that he really needs something done soon, because otherwise they have this new employee that is going to fail. And then there's the overall issue of navigating the politics of and structural stress that this reporting structure in having these lines up in different areas to the president. And then there's clearly strong opinions coming from leadership that puts pressure on Mr. DeHaven as the director of admissions, who ultimately has authority over this particular position and doesn't seem to have a lot of ability to speak into that. Analysis of the dynamics of the system. An overarching thought I have comes directly from Dr. Brown and the working definition we have for strategic leadership, and that's influencing others to work toward a collective vision that is well thought out, clearly articulated, and authentically modeled. With most partner departments embedded but centralized it really impacts the ability to have a collective vision. It's difficult to escalate issues when you've got multiple reporting happening within one particular structure, one particular school. In this case, the adult undergraduate and the graduate school. Conflicting philosophies, we've discussed that already regarding the tuition discount. And then communication as a whole, if you look at how it seems to be this conflict that arises anytime that these folks get together, especially to talk about this particular position and the responsibilities that this position has. And then going with this strategic leadership working definition, it really is unclear what the cohesive vision is for the school, and the case study doesn't get into that specifically, other than mandating things from the president. And then department and the position. So it seems like there seems to be a tension that lies within each of these, and without having a strong vision, there's going to be continued tension that happens. An analysis of the key characters. Again, I have an overarching thought that comes from our book, The Practice of Adaptive Leadership. And it's too often people trying to address tough issues are too smart for their own good, throwing guesses at tough problems, seeing the shapes they recognize because they fit what they know already, without even knowing that they are doing so. And this seems to be kind of a situation that's happening. So Dr. Zion, if we pull into our characters, he clearly has a lot of pressure and responsibility on his shoulders, being the dean of the two schools And it seems like he's having some boundary issues too, but I would be interested in hearing the thoughts of those that are watching this in just this idea of understanding where his authority lies and then seeming to put his hands in maybe where they don't or are not supposed to be pushing back too hard. Dr. Marsh, again from our book, The Practice of Adaptive Leadership, there's this quote of the most common leadership failure stems from trying to apply technical solutions to adaptive changes. Seems like Dr. Marsh, this is kind of a solution for him as he goes into the structural and political landmines, and specifically his quote at the end about, well, this is mandated from the president, so we just have to do it. And so this idea of, well, whatever it takes, and we'll tweak and kind of this, we'll figure out a very specific solution to this very specific problem without necessarily diving into the structural and political issues that are kind of lying underneath of this particular issue. And going on further, Mr. DeHaven, just analysis of maybe he posted this position too soon. Maybe he jumped the gun a little bit. He seems to struggle a little bit with decisiveness and, well, I don't really know myself, so somebody else has to do something. And going from this book that I read about leadership is a quality leader acts decisively when the occasion calls for it. Decisively, not impulsively. And in this idea of there's this position and it's important and I need to post it and go with it is a little concerning in terms of somebody who is directly leading a department. And he definitely is caught between academics and administration. In the book Reframing Academic Leadership, Bowman and Gallows say a reoccurring structural challenge is that academic units and subunits often becomes insular silos and don't play well with each other or anyone else. And while I don't know if this is the case all the time, it seems like this may be a bit of an issue in terms of academic and administration and who actually knows best for the particular school and for the particular position. And when I looked at a constituent group, I looked at the cabinet level because you have two people that sit on the cabinet. You've got the exec VP for strategy, and then you have the provost. And ultimately, all of these issues will rise to them, and then they also sit on the president's cabinet. And so from a cabinet position, at this point, when it escalates to this level, they have to be asking questions of, why was a position posted without clear data in this? I don't really know, Mr. DeHaven, I don't really know what the best practices are. And so why is it that without knowing the discount rates and can you make it up for volume and what are best practices and what should this position be, those things, posting position without those answered, is quite concerning. And is there a continued, or how is there a continued disagreement without putting decision makers in a room? And who is running the admissions department? Which is a fair question to ask when you have a lot of people that are breathing into one position who reports there. And then when will this be sorted out? This is a systemic issue, and they have to come a solution because they have an employee with responsibilities. And how will this continued situation continue to impact enrollment, which is a question that should always be asked. A few action steps that I have. If there was a way to go back, it would really be like they need a clear picture of why they need the position and for what purpose. And going forward, really getting the decision makers in the room to get the clarity that they need on specifics, and also really getting a clear idea of what the mandate from the president truly is. And then maybe it's rewriting the job description, but really there's a symptom of a greater strategic and structural issue here that needs to be escalated. I have several questions for you to consider, and I would encourage you to go through and look at each one of these as you process through the case dilemma. So please let me know if you have any further questions or need any further clarification on any of these or anything else in the presentation. Thank you. Position. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to hearing your responses.